the funny thing about habit 7 is sharpen the saw, and that comes from the thing where a guy walks along the road and he sees this guy trying to saw down this tree, and the guy's working really hard, and it's clear that it's a really old saw and it hasn't been maintained, and the guy says, hey, if you just would take a moment, stop, and sharpen that saw, it would go a lot faster to cut down that tree. And he goes, I'm too busy, I can't stop. Well, we have a lot of people that take the time to sharpen the saw and figure out what problem needs to be done before they just go headlong into solving it. And I think that comes a long way to, making it true that you can do complex work, under tight deadlines and under pressure, and at the same time have fun. Because if you just drive, it's counterintuitive. We tell our clients, we're not focused on the number of hours people work on your stuff. We're focused on the fact that they get the stuff done. And that's really what the matter is. And that's kind of permeates the entire culture. And that's really a basic principle of Covey. You got to be in balance. You can't all work, no play, no family, no health, no keeping your body in the right way, if you will, in health. So it's a balanced approach to things. And it's counterintuitive, but if you try to drive too much in one dimension, eventually the wheels are going to come off. And so I think that comes back to your question about how do you do high pressure, complicated work at the same time you have a laid back kind of fun culture. Well, one supports the other. If you didn't have a laid back, people-centric culture, it's highly unlikely we could operate at the level of capability that we do and get the work done that we're doing for our clients, because the people would not be in a position where they could do that kind of work. I don't know if that's makes sense, but and it is a little counterintuitive, because people are like, look, if 40 hours is good, 60 hours must be 50% better. It isn't. It's not even as good as 20 hours, because that human is not going to be able to get, they're going to be out of balance. And as I said, we tell our clients, let's focus on getting the work done, sprint to sprint or release to release. Let's not focus on how many hours are spent. As long as we're getting the work done, do you really care how long it takes us to get it done? How much effort goes into getting it done? So if there's an hour of really thoughtful effort, it trumps 2 or 3 hours of just, I'm just going to go try to solve the problem. We have people that take time to go on vacation, and there's never a good time really to go on vacation from a standpoint of viewed from getting work done. But when somebody needs to go sharpen the saw and go recharge their batteries, reconnect with their family and friends, depending on who they're going with, we encourage that. And all we ask them is make sure that you give us notice and give your team notice so you can plan for your absence, and then go have fun and don't check in. And I've seen many examples of people. We're not a culture where even when you're on vacation, we want you to check in all the time. Telling on myself, I do that. So as I said, I'm a lifelong learner of the 7 habits. But we, as a company, we want people to go on vacation, and we want them to check out and enjoy, what they're doing. And I've seen many of our employees go off and do that. The other thing, we have a very supportive environment of developing your other habits, because we think creativity, and we've had several of our employees join Tech Shop, which is down the street, the new maker shop here in St. Louis, and they've gone and done things and then proactively brought things back to the lab because they wanted to give something back. One guy made laser etched keychains on the eclipse day because we had an eclipse party. That same gentleman basically did cutouts so we could put numbers on all of our conference rooms. And I just see people going off and sharpening the saw in a dimension, then bringing that creativity or that refreshness back to the lab. But it just reinforces how it's so important that a whole person is really balanced. Because if you're not balanced, you're not going to bring your best self to work when it's time to work with your teammates and do work for our clients.